Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM. My name is Beatrice. Remember, the news is live across the country on our affiliate station as well as 3fm.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. An election that will determine whether the governing NPP can reverse the challenge of the hung parliament. This afternoon, thousands of NPP delegates get ready to elect parliamentary representatives in constituencies with sitting members of parliament. We'll bring you analysis of what is happening on the ground and what to expect. Also in this package, a strong push for the dissolution of newly constituted Ghana Black Stars Quote Search Committee. We'll hear from sports journalists who want President Akufo-Addo to intervene on the international front. International Court of Justice is expected to deliver its ruling on the emergency measures requested by South Africa in its genocide case against Israel on the Gaza Strip. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, it's possibly a do-or-die affair for a governing political party that wants to break the eight and change the narrative of the hung parliament that the 2020 elections brought. And in less than 24 hours, thousands of delegates will have the opportunity to elect the persons they believe could help the NPP gain more seats in parliament. Already, some 3 constituencies have been put on hold over various issues as the party prepares feverishly to organize a smooth election. We'll bring you some analysis and updates from the ground shortly, but first, here's a report by Duke Opoku-Mensah with our political desk.
In the next few hours, the New Patriotic Party delegates would go to the polls in 137 constituencies across the country to vote for members of parliament in constituencies where they already have seats. Now, the election is taking place across 15 regions. The 16th region, OT region, is a region where the New Patriotic Party has no seats. 322 candidates or aspirants have been deemed qualified to contest in these polls. 17, on the other hand, have been disqualified. 41 females or women, per our own count, are contesting in this election, even though the party has not officially released the figures on its gender configuration. Now, over 20 government appointees and officials are contesting, seeking to make that transition from being in the executive, being in ministries, departments, and agencies, and going into the chamber of legislative politics, which is parliament. 19 high-profile sitting members of parliament have decided voluntarily to relinquish their seats in the House. And there are 9 former members of parliament who are seeking to make a comeback. How will the chips fall? This is your election command center, and we'll keep you updated.
Indeed, we'll keep you updated, and shortly we'll cross over to the Ashanti region and bring you some updates as well as get you some more analysis from analysts and also hear from the governing NPP on this. You're still here on the Midday News with me, Beatrice. So stay with us. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM, and we'll certainly bring you the updates you need to know about the upcoming MPP parliamentary primary. But we stay on politics because former President John Mahama and the 2024 flag bearer of the opposition NDC has once again taken on the Ghana Bar Association over what he describes as its selective defense of people's rights that are abused under the current New Patriotic Party administration. John Mahama in 2023 alleged that the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges because the ruling government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people onto the bench. The GBA, in a swift response, took on the former president over his comment. Speaking at a town hall meeting of labor unions at the Great Hall of the KNUST in Kumasi, John Mahama cast doubt on the professional integrity of the Ghana Bar Association in defending the rights of oppressed Ghanaians.
When journalists are oppressed, people's freedom of expression is affected, it is the duty of unions and organized labor to speak out. GBA spoke about perception. Well, what's the reality? Does GBA go to sleep when MPP is in power and wakes up when NDC comes? We'll see. In 2025, we'll see whether you wake up. You know yourselves that is true. That when MPP is in power, they do the most outrageous things and you are quiet. And yet when NDC is in power, the least, mistake, and GBA has issued a press release. It's true, it's true. And so the point is, the truth is one. And the truth is the same under Rawlings. It is the same under Kufuor. It is the same under Mills. It's the same under Jomama. It's the same under Akufo-Addo. The truth does not change. And so if you are concerned with people's rights, you are concerned with protecting human rights and freedoms, you must be consistent under any administration. Not only be concerned under some administrations and not under other administrations. There was a time under an NDC administration, GBA said that they had stopped at all the political disdain, that they wanted to concentrate on their core mandate of professional training and turning out good lawyers and so on and so forth. I mean, since when did that happen? GBA is a professional body that has been involved in political activism and human rights protection. Over the years, you were a leading member of the professional groups that were in the People's Movement for Freedom and Justice from then. And so what has changed?
Former President John Mahama. Komla Kluche is my colleague with the former president who is touring the Ashanti region. Komla, what can you tell us? I'm asking about the context within which the former president made this very comment.
John Mahama made the comment at a meeting with the various labor unions in the Ashanti region yesterday at the Great Hall of the KNU. A wide range of issues. You know he's been on the building Ghana Together, so soliciting for this as what we should implement into the manifesto for his 2024 bid. And so one of the issues that emerged from the Bar Association in the Ashanti region was the fact of the perception that the GPA is not a friendly institutional organization towards the NDC. Whenever the NDC is in office, they tend to hit them with a lot of tough talk and all that. And so John Mahama was responding to this and indicated that, well, this is Africa for him. He has nothing to say about it, but then he feels that it's quite unfair the way they treat the NDC administration. But if they want to stand in for human rights, then it should be across board and not limited to just one administration.
I'm wondering, the former president is in the stronghold of the governing party, making these claims not just against the current government, but also against the legal fraternity. Has there been any immediate response either from the Bar Association branch in that region and indeed party representatives of the MPP?
Absolutely not. There hasn't been. And it's even surprising that it's members of the Bar Association who are so to speak, affiliated to the NDC, who raised this at the town hall meeting at the Great Hall of the KNU yesterday when John Mahama was speaking.
Thank you very much. Komla Kluche reporting live from the Ashanti region. He's on a tour with the former president, John Mahama. You're still here on the Midday News on 3FM. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying. Let's bring you some international issue. And the International Court of Justice is this afternoon delivering its ruling on the emergency measures requested by South Africa in its genocide case against Israel over its war on the Gaza Strip. The provisional measures include a request for Israel to suspend its military operations in the Gaza Strip. The International Court of Justice will decide whether to issue emergency measures ordering Israel to halt its operations in Gaza. A ruling against Israel is not enforceable, and Israel would almost certainly ignore it. But it would be politically significant. But a verdict on South Africa's allegations of genocide is not expected until between 3 and 4 years. Israel strongly denies the accusation that it is committing genocide, calling it baseless. The current war began after Hamas attacked southern Israel on 7 October, killing about 1,300 people, mostly civilians, and taking 240 hostages. The Hamas-run health ministry says Israel's retaliatory attacks in Gaza have killed about 26,000 people, mostly women and children. I'm joined on the line now by international relations expert Professor Vladimir Nchidan. So good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Prof, from where you sit, what's the significance of this landmark case between South Africa and Israel?
It's extremely significant because it's one that might settle the problem of genocide. Genocidal acts have not been properly been handled over the years. And this one is a landmark case, a case where the political stakes are very high, a case where it is clear the U.S. and some Western countries initially decided to ignore the calls by other countries and to stand by Israel for it to perpetrate this heinous act. And so it's a landmark case, a case in which the contours of international law are going to be changed, redrawn completely.
Those who are on the side of your argument will agree that indeed it's important because at least it gives some sort of information as regards what to do moving forward. But the other side of it is that this is going to be complicated for Israel to implement it should the court decide to rule against Israel.
Yes, certainly. It's complicated because the court does not have enforcement measures. In that sense, it's got to go back to the Security Council. Is America going to stand by it and vote or veto it again? And what would be the repercussions on American politics, on Israeli politics, and global politics? So that's why it's a landmark case. It does not have the court does not have enforcement measures, and that is why it is more complicated. And Israel has shown robustness and shown defiance to whatever the court is going to say, in the sense that only yesterday, Netanyahu had called cabinet plus legal brains and boasted that no court on this earth could force Israel to toe its line. And that is a very worrisome, worrying kind of situation.
I'm glad you mentioned United States in your commentary. What would be the ramifications in terms of diplomatic relations, especially when you've had a U.S. president who has vetoed a number of occasions to bring ceasefire on this?
It has a lot of implications for American diplomacy. You see, if it goes against Israel, which we all believe it's going to go against, then the U.S. will have to recontour its diplomacy, because the whole world will be looking at the U.S. as somebody who is more of a pariah state supporting this pariah state Israel. And again, it will move from that legal positions or whatever international realm to domestic politics. It will move to public opinion. One of the biggest problems of American politics is public opinion. When public opinion sways against you, it takes a long time to recover. And I think Biden must be a very worried person today.
What do you expect, though, in terms of the rulings, which, per international media report, is supposed to be happening now? And I'm asking this question considering the measures that Palestine is asking for, or let me say South Africa, because it's between South Africa and Israel. South Africa is asking for, and also bearing in mind that whatever the International Court of Justice will deliver today is just interim ruling with a final judgment expected within 3 to 4 years.
Yes, certainly. What I expect is for the court to actually, there are two things the court could do. One, accept what South Africa is demanding and call for it. And it's innocuous. It's not difficult at all. The first thing is hostilities to halt, that is ceasefire, and two, to allow humanitarian corridors to be effective. Israel helping, but they were asking properly that Israel be part of the making of the functioning of the humanitarian corridors. It's not difficult at all, and I believe the court will take it. Alternatively, the court can throw it away that it is not within its jurisdiction. But that would have also damaged the court's position and would have damaged the future of the court itself as an institution. So I believe the former would say that they will ask for a ceasefire, which is the public opinion of the world. And asking for a ceasefire is not a difficult thing at all, which Hamas has accepted, the Middle Eastern countries have accepted. In fact, the whole of the international community seems to be accepting that. David Cameron made it clear that it would accept what the court would say, and Germany has said the same thing. It shows that public opinion is really shifting to the center where I mean that they are not looking at Hamas or Israel, they are looking about genocide, which should not be accepted in the world. And I strongly suspect that the court will go by it.
Thank you very much, Professor Vladimir Enchidan. So he's an international relations expert. Thank you for bringing us your comprehensive analysis of this case between Israel and South Africa on the war in the Gaza Strip. We return to our first story about the upcoming parliamentary primary of the NPP. And obviously, there are certainly areas to look out for in this upcoming primary. Eric Mawunya Egbeta has some information on this. Listen.
137 constituencies will be up for grabs in the governing New Patriotic Party's upcoming primaries. That number will be whittled down with the number of the candidates going unopposed. As with these contests, it promises to be an epic battle all through. But here are some key constituencies you should be looking out for come January 27. We start with Dom Kwabenya. A repeat of the 2020 contest in June will see incumbent Sarah Dwasafo go head-to-head against Ambassador Mike Okoye Jr. The renewed hostilities becomes even more interesting with the polls from Global Info Analytics predicting a possible win for Mike Okoye Jr. Bantama, in the heart of the stronghold of the NPP, will be another place to watch. Questioned the fight between the presidency and Kennedy Japan, incumbent Francis Asenso-Boakye has an uphill task in defeating brother of Asin Central MP Ralph Ijapong. And the battle has already taken shape with allegations by Kennedy Ijapong labeling all manner of claims on Asenso-Boakye and threatened to release even more should delegates vote for him. Back in the capital, and the Ayawaso Central constituency in the Greater Accra region will be even keener, where the Greater Accra Regional Minister and incumbent MP, Henry Korte, has it all to do with the godfather of the constituency, Sheikh Isikwe, backing his opponent, Moses Abo. Now, it's not really clear what's caused the fallout between Henry Korte and Sheikh Isikwe, but what it does create is a hot political pendulum which could swing in any direction after January 27. Even a lot more contests will unfold here on your Election Command Center.
Mawunya Egbeta found that report for us. I'm joined on the line now by political historian with the KNUST, Professor Samuel Edujemfi. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, my sister. Hope you are doing well.
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. Prof, looking at where the MPP is as a party and with a hung parliament, it wants to also break the 8 while losing some experienced MPs. What kind of person should they elect or should the party elect to represent it towards 2024 general election?
I am of the view that since party politics and also democracy is growing in Ghana, we anticipate that the party will be interested in bringing persons who have capacity and clout and will be able to play a significant role while in parliament. It cannot be the case that someone is able to win because he has money or connections within the party or better still, he is the one or she's the one who has stayed for a very long time in the party. What is crucial is how competitive, the day will look like, and how these individual kingmakers who are able to elect these candidates look through the critical issues that they are looking at when it comes to legislators. Unfortunately, there are issues that come up with development, and for several of them, the skills are unbalanced and they are found wanting. However, because they have served over a longer period of time, they will definitely consolidate their positions and their seat, especially in areas in Asante. You recall that a lot of the times, or most of the times, when these individuals are given the kind of support by the party, they end up winning. But sometimes, when they go to the polls, they do not really show up. You can recall the Formina incident, and then the Bekwai at the time of what's the name, the recent deputy speaker. So there are issues that are always at stake when you refuse to bring the right candidate. There will be issues of skirt and blouse, and an independent candidate would likely win even the national election in terms of the actual election day when it comes to 7th December. It is critical. It is critical to reflect on, for example, Dom Kwabena, as the reporter puts across. And in my anticipation and contemplation, if Dom Kwabena is critical for us, why can't other places in Asante be much more even critical? So I have said time and again that we have to be mindful and careful about just anybody winning primaries, because when just anybody wins primaries in the Asante region, for example, that candidate is likely to win and might not be a better representation for the MPP for his or her constituent.
So, Prof, I just want to ask you, you've made an important point of the role money might play in this election. Well, it does in a lot of elections. Looking at the candidates which are being supported, over 300 of them have been cleared to participate in tomorrow's parliamentary primary. And for those who are popular in being supported, do you see the kind of quality that you think the party needs moving into 2024?
Several of them have the quality, of course. However, some of them are already spent. I will not mention names in the region. They're already spent. They have not been able to really deliver as much as required or anticipated. However, they have the financial clout. They have the kind of capacity to be able to buy votes, influence votes, and do all that shady ways and means that politicians do to win elections at the primaries level. Unfortunately, that would, speak volumes in the course of this election. However, I hope and pray that one day we would have, power oscillating from time to time between different candidates that we have had historically.
You have just 1 minute remaining.
Let me just ask you my last, we'll have to end it here with Professor Edu Jenfe, but we'll connect to you and bring you, get some more of what you think as regards the NPP parliamentary primary happening tomorrow. Now, there is a strong push for President Akufo-Addo to dissolve the committee set up by the Ghana Football Association to search for a new coach for the senior national football team, the Black Stars. You recall that the Black Stars coach, Chris Hughton, was relieved of his duties by the GFA after the team's elimination in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Ivory Coast. The Black Stars only managed 2 points from 3 Group B games, and of course there are calls, as I just said, to get a new committee to look for a new coach. I'm joined on the line now by Sadiq Adam. He is one of the journalists calling for this. Sadiq, if you can hear me, for you, why is it necessary for the GFA's coach committee to be dissolved, especially when it's just about being, it's just been set up?
Well, thank you very much. And we believe that as sports journalists who have followed this team for well over a decade or so, this is the commonsensical approach and, of course, well judged to dissolve this committee before it even starts its work. That will go nowhere because we've gone to 2 African Cup of Nations in recent times and to the World Cup, and it's all ended in ignominy. The embarrassment is too much for Ghanaians to bear. And why we call for the dissolution of this committee by the president, if he truly cares about football, is that the same person who chaired the Black Stars team for the AFCON, for the embarrassment in the AFCON, is the same man leading the search for a new coach. He's the same man who led the team to the World Cup embarrassment. He was the same man who went in search for a coach, Milova Rajovac, who also led us to the most disastrous AFCON campaign in 2022 in Cameroon. So it cannot be well judged and it cannot be common sense to let the same man lead the search for another coach. We cannot understand what's particularly exceptional about him because the results have been contrary to how the GSA sees and upholds that man in the highest team. So the president must step in. The Ghana Football Association Committee is going for a coach who will be paid thousands of dollars by the Ghanaian taxpayers' money. So if the committee will want to start work, that will mean that we are covering up everything that happened in Ivory Coast. And we believe that we need to set up a team that is very neutral and impartial to investigate the technical report, the management report, the budget of the team, to be able to indicate and proffer solutions to the real ills and problems that face us under the same man who wants to lead the charge for the search of a new coach. We don't think that without an apology to the Ghanaian people after this shame, we should let the same people lead the charge and behave as if nothing has happened. It's a monumental shame.
In like 30 seconds, in as much as your argument may be valid by those who support you, you also do understand that FIFA frowns on interference in sports administration. Won't there be consequences?
There is nothing in that FIFA document that I haven't read. FIFA doesn't say that interfering in the appointment or interfering after such a shame will be an interference that frowns on its rules. Mind you, the coach that the committee is about to set for will be paid for by the Ghanaian government. And so is that not an interference? We are not saying the government should interfere in the affairs of the FA. We are saying that the government should indicate to the team that went to Ivory Coast to bring their report because the team was funded by the taxpayers' money. Submit your report. Let's see the real problems in Ivory Coast before you go on to cover up for that scandal. We are not saying go and collapse the FA. FIFA doesn't frown on this, and this is a practice across the whole of the continent. FIFA knows exactly how much government invests, and government is also supposed to get in when the situation gets to this circumstance.
Ended here. Thank you very much, Sadiq Adam. He's a sports journalist, and that's how we end the news here on 3FM. Our top story. Thousands of NPP delegates get ready to elect parliamentary representatives ahead of 2024 general election. My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time now for Business Daily, and in our headlines this afternoon, Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority tasked to mobilize more than 1/3 of 146 billion cedi revenue target for the authority. We'll hear from the Finance Ministry.
The Customs Division of GRA is required to generate a total of 41.5 billion.
Also, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources makes a case for paradigm shift in the management of Ghana's mineral resources, especially in emerging critical minerals.
Africa can and must benefit from her mineral resources, but it requires concerted efforts and the commitment of all.
Plus, small and medium-scaled enterprises to benefit high-quality and affordable advisory and tax services launched by top professional firms in Ghana.
People who think they're so far away, they have now come into the fold, where they are working with SMEs to ensure that they're investment ready.
My name is Manu. Afful. We have these stories and more lined up for you. Stay with me. We're grateful for your time. We'll take our first story. The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has been charged to mobilize 41.5 billion cedis in revenue for 2024. This amount is more than one-third of government's total revenue target of 146 billion cedis to be collected by the GRE this year. Director of Revenue at the Ministry of Finance, George Winfo, represented Sector Minister at the 2024 International Customs Day celebration.
As you may be aware, Ghana has a potential of generating 20% tax to GDP, though it currently collects 14%. As a measure to reach Ghana's full potential, the medium-term revenue strategy, which spans the period 2024 to 2027, was developed and rolled out in September 2023. The 2024 revenue target of 146 billion cedis set for GRA was based on the measures contained in the medium-term revenue strategy. Out of this amount, the Customs Division of GRA is required to generate a total of 41.5 billion. I hope you will agree with me that when we combine our powers, and I mean the allied agencies of the Customs Division coming together, we shall be able to support the Customs Division to meet its target for December 2024.
Director of Revenue at the Ministry of Finance, George Winfo, there. Away from that, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, has reiterated the need for successive governments to invest in value addition and pursue indigenous participation in the exploitation of the country's natural resources. Addressing participants at the ongoing Africa Prosperity Dialogue in Pediassi Lodge, the minister called for a paradigm shift in the management of Ghana's mineral resources, especially in emerging critical minerals.
After years of mining, Africa still holds some 30% of the world's mineral reserves. Regrettably, over the years, the exploitation of these resources has not optimally benefited the African peoples. And using the International Monetary Fund's GDP per capita income, 25 out of the 30 poorest countries in the world are in Africa, including countries with large reserves of natural resources. The reason for this unfortunate situation is obvious. Over the years, our natural resources industry has been dominated by foreign interests and the export of raw minerals, denying us of any value addition or linkages to other sectors of the African economy. Africa can and must benefit from her mineral resources, but it requires concerted efforts and the commitment of all. It requires policies and strategies that will promote intra-African trade for our mineral resources to retain the value of these minerals in continent.
That was the voice of the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor. Away from that, top three auditing firms, KPMG, PwC, and Deloitte, have officially launched a campaign aimed at increasing advisory and tax services to support capital raising for small and medium-scaled enterprises in Ghana. The campaign is supported by the Ghana Venture Capital and Private Equity Association and the Ghana Investment Support Program, powered by the British International Investment. Chief Executive of the GVCA, Hannah Akwa, spoke to 3 Business at the media launch of the campaign.
We're just trying to ensure that all SMEs get outstanding service from our big 3. these big three are not just here, they're around the world. And so they have a certain level of professionalism, of excellence, perfectionism that they stand by. That's their ethos. And then for them to also make their services available or affordable for SMEs, that is even more awesome, And so people who think they're so far away, they have now come into the fold where they're working with SMEs to ensure that they're investment ready. So then when they now approach our fund managers, we can close deals. It's all about closing deals. By making this consortium happen, we are doing what we've been talking about for years. We're here to close deals so that Ghana is always going to be open for business.
That was Chief Executive of the Ghana Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, Hannah Akwa. Meanwhile, as part of the campaign, also the top 3 auditing firms will provide increased accessibility to their services for SMEs looking to raise capital, including all GVCA members, fund managers, and their portfolio companies. Randolph Anor is partner at KPMG.
We have dedicated people, dedicated services to support the SMEs to transform. So whether it is before investment, right? So usually we say pre-deal. Pre-deal means before anybody puts money into you, they need to understand how your business have run, what are the gaps or lapses you have, how are you going to fix that before they give you money. So we undertake a number of pre-deal activities, all right, that gives comfort to the providers of funds that indeed this is a worthy business to put their monies in. Then we have post-deal. So post-deal is when you have been given funds, what specific things ought to be done or you need to do to strengthen your business and to do well as a business, because you may receive funding today, but if you don't do the right things, your business may fall apart.
And that was partner at accounting and auditing firm KPMG, Randolph Anor there. Before we go, let's take a look at some of our headlines. Custom Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority tasked to mobilize more than 1/3 of 146 billion cedi revenue target for the authority. Also, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources makes case for paradigm shift in the management of Ghana's mineral resources, especially in emerging critical minerals. Also, plus small and medium-scale enterprises to benefit high quality and affordable advisory and tax services launched by top professional firms in Ghana. That's how we bring Business Daily to an end on 3FM 92.7. Kindly visit www.3news.com for more business stories. My name is Manu Afful. Do stay tuned. Black Rasta is on standby for Urban Blend.